I played 12 hours of the Elden Ring Nightreign network test session, straight to the point. I think this game is insanely fun. I wasn't expecting to be too into this game due to FromSoft stepping out of their usual formula, but I ended up enjoying it a lot more than I thought I would. However, I do have some concerns. All 4 classes are fun and each have their own role. Wield is pretty basic, fast and does good damage. Guardian's tanky, has good CC, pretty good at rezzing. Dutch just does a lot of damage, good dodges and a stealth ultimate, and then Recluse just has crazy spell spamming damage. The map is fairly big and has a lot of content, such as camps to clear out, castles and dungeons, and each usually have some sort of boss. You have 2 days on the main map to level up and improve your gear. Each day lasts like 10 to 50 minutes, with the ring that's shrinking at certain intervals in this time duration. And then day 3 will be the final boss of the run you selected. They said that the game could be played either solo or 3 players, however the beta was only 3 players since it was a network test. Let's start with discussing the player count. I'm sure most people will be fine with solo play, however I myself, I wasn't actually looking too forward to having to play with 2 randoms and no duo queue, but after playing the beta, I actually enjoyed playing with 2 randoms more than I thought I would. But I also heard like a lot of complaints where players weren't playing together during the runs, so people were just like dying by themselves across the map trying to do their own thing. I guess I got lucky with my randoms, but I think the concept is pretty fun and it does follow FromSoft's usual multiplayer philosophy. If you don't want to queue with randoms, there is a password you can apply. The main complaint is not being able to duo queue, and I'm not really sure why you can't, maybe it's like balancing or scaling reasons, but other than that, I think the online play is pretty fun. As for the map, the layout of everything is pretty good. However, I do have one concern, and that says like no RNG area spawns on the map. Like each world structure during all my runs was the same every time, and there was like 2 spawn locations and predetermined final boss day boss locations. I know it's only a network test, but I really do hope that in the full game there is a lot more variety of the map as a whole. I also assume it won't only be Limgrave, and we'll probably have a map for each big area in Elden Ring, so like Caelid, Liurnia, Atlas, Plateau, and Mantis Top of the Giants. Maybe even they do Shadow of the Erdtree or something crazy like Frau Missoula. Okay, so I said earlier that I think the 4 classes that were available are fun to play, and they announced that there'll be more via DLC. However, I wish they were. I wish that like they were unlockable by just playing the game. Like they can add them in as free updates, but I don't know, maybe you have to earn them or something. So I think Wielder is fun. He feels very fast and his normal skill gives him good mobility and openings on enemies and bosses. His shield also gives him parry opportunities, so I think he will be very fun for like your sword user Souls player, or even maybe just new players to the genre. His ultimate chunks and it gives him invuln frames. However, it's worth noting that it seems every character in their ultimate gets invuln frames, so it's not like wielder exclusive. But for the basic swordsman character, he's very fun. Guardian is kind of interesting, but he's fun if played correctly. So the Birdman is the tank, and the general aim is to guard counter and poke your enemies. His skill is it's like a whirlwind, and it CCs enemies and deals a tiny bit of damage, which is decent, but I didn't find it too crazy. His ultimate, however, is very crazy. He will like fly up, slam the ground, huge AoE, does an insane amount of damage, knocks up enemies, but can also like, if an ally's down and you hit them, they're guaranteed res. I've had runs saved because of this ultimate, so I think it's safe to say it's a very strong ultimate, maybe even the best one. Duchess is basically a rogue character. Her starter weapon is a dagger, and it swings really fast, small dagger, right? Her ability allows her to redo 5 seconds of damage on an enemy, which can be really crazy damage depending on like the player or what just happened to the enemy. And then her ultimate is also pretty crazy. It gives herself and allies invisibility, so enemies can't see you, and they will just like hit where you just attacked from. So you just kind of like can juke around smacking the enemies and bosses. I think when I played her, she was the easiest character I cleared my run with, so definitely very strong. And then you have Recluse. She's kind of nutty. She's like the spellcaster, and her abilities allow her to collect the affinity, that's what it's called, from her target. And when she does this freeze timed, she'll have 3 stacks, and she'll cast a spell depending on what affinity she collected. There's like 15 different spells, I think, from this, so I think that's pretty cool. And her ultimate marks enemies, which allows people to like get HP and FP back upon hitting them, which I also think is neat. I think they did a really good like job on her as a spellcaster, because she has a lot of sustain, so like unless you kind of misplay, you're not really going to run out of mana. So yeah, like the first 4 characters are great. I just worry how they'll add new characters. Like, okay, hopefully if they are purchased with actual money, they won't cost too much. But ideally, they're just added to the game and you have to do something to unlock them. So they also said that you would get new bosses with the deluxe version, which is a big worry to me. I think this is a weird way to lock players out of content and separate the player base. You could probably argue that the deluxe edition probably isn't that much more expensive. Actually, I think it is. I'll check later. But I still think it's a weird decision to incorporate this into the game. I hope they rethink this over. The actual bosses in this game are pretty fun though. They're basically just like bosses from Elden Ring or previous games, but they gave them more moves. Centipede Demon existed in this beta as a possible Day 1 boss. However, it seemed a lot less obnoxious than the fight in Dark Souls 1. And Morgott also appears as a Day 2 boss, or he can just like gank you during Day 2. And they basically like turn him into an anime character. Like with the new moves and combos you get, he can like spam daggers, do blood slashes that explode. He just like goes crazy now. And then the final boss of the run was cool. It was a 3-headed Cerberus dog called Gladius that tries to bite you, whip you with its chains, does various fire attacks, and it can split itself into 3 singular dogs that will fight you, which is, you know, like perfect for free play, right? The arena itself is also amazing. I hope that like all the final bosses have a really cinematic vibe to the Cerberus boss like arena. Like it was really cool to fight in. Now after you complete a run, you get these equipable perks called relics, and some currency I don't know anything about, probably full game stuff. Relics are like perks that are equipable to each character, and they'll give you a unique enhancement or stat increase depending on what character they're equipped to. But like, you can only have 3 at a time, and they need to be a matching color to whatever the character has. I think the system is pretty cool, but only 3 equipable feels kind of lackluster. You can get like perks for multiple characters on 1 relic, which feels wasteful, kind of scammy. So hopefully they improve this system. I'm not too sure what to say about the weapons. Like it's basically just weapons from other FromSoft games. So I guess like unique weapons to this game would be cool. Maybe, you know, they'll add them in at some point in the future. Okay, so let's go over some general points that, you know, maybe it will determine whether the game's worth or not for you, I guess. The game is very fun despite its flaws. I'd advise you to give it a try, even if it isn't your thing. Because, like, I didn't think it would really, like, be too great for me. It's a bit different from what FromSoft usually do, but I enjoyed it a lot. If you're still not sure, just wait to see some like more gameplay of the full game, I guess. I don't think it's gonna be a spoil heavy game like the other games, so I don't think you'll be like missing out on much if you go in watching, like haven't already seen footage. So the price tag is a lot less than a AAA game. The standard edition on the PS Store for me was £35, and the deluxe edition was £48, which is quite a bit more. Like I said before, the deluxe edition gives DLC that could possibly split the player base. But even then, that's still like £22 less than the usual AAA game, like £70, you know what I mean? And I think that pricing is pretty generous, but this could just be because the content of the game isn't as good as other games. Which is it's kind of what I expect, since it's just like reuse of assets. But I think we'll have to wait and see. You can always just purchase the standard edition, see if you enjoy the game, and then purchase like the deluxe upgrade, but like depend on your answer, or just refund. And I think it's good pricing. I'm just worried about the deluxe edition. So another thing is that like a lot of people don't have the luxury to play and buy every game that comes out. and 2025 is filled with a lot of highly anticipated games. So remember to take that into account when you're deciding on whether you want to buy this game or not. The game has had a lot of complaints saying that it just feels like a glorified mod for Elden Ring. I can see the logic behind this, but like I still really enjoyed my time on it. That didn't bother me. In fact, I can't wait to see what mods the full game receives. I think this game has crazy like potential for mods. So yeah, sure, you might see it as a mod, but it's a fun mod, you know what I mean? Like, it's also possible that this is just an easy way for Bandai to make money. I'm still curious to see what FromSoft can cook up from it there. So I will 99.9% be getting this on release. My theory is that this could just be a tech demo for FromSoft's next big game. But like, I mean, that gives me hope, you know. I'm enjoying the game. As a somewhat die-hard FromSoft fan, I am excited to play this. I think if they do it right, there'll be an insane amount of content to play. I am slightly worried about the release date not being too far away, but FromSoft have a pretty good reputation, so I'll mostly trust them on this. The decision is yours, as always, so don't feel pressured into buying this because everyone else is hyping it up, and think critically on what you want to do. If this review gave you some sort of insight or enjoyment, drop a like and a sub, and I'll definitely be uploading and playing this game a lot when it drops. So I hope you guys stick around if you're interested. Other than that, stay safe, take care, and I shall see you next time.